Hi, and welcome back to Send Happy with Allie, a place to have fun, create cards, and send them. I hope since my last video, you were able to send a few cards out to the people in your world to let them know you were thinking of them. I haven't had a chance yet, but I do have a couple of cards made and ready to go out the door, so I'm excited for my family and friends to know I'm thinking about them. I'm Allie, and I'm a Stampin' Up! Demonstrator. And I recently was working on a birthday card and used two techniques with our blender pen and water painters. And I wanted to show you how to use those. So our blender pens, 3 come in a pack, and they're filled with specialized solution, some cool specialized solution for easier blending. They have 2 tips, one that has more control than the other. And again, 3 of these come in a pack. The other technique I used was with our water painters. And in a pack, you get 3 different water painters, a fine tip, a medium tip, and then a large flat tip. So what I did with these 2 different techniques, I actually just wanted to use the water painters. But after I stamped the actual image, which is a mermaid from the Pure Magic stamp set, I realized that it was kind of small and intricate, and I needed more control. And so I used the blender pen to actually color in the mermaid, but then to create the water scene, I used the water painters. So I'm going to show you a little bit about how I did that. I started off with using watercolor paper, which is a thick paper designed especially for watercoloring. And I used the StazOn jet black ink. This is permanent ink, which allows you to use blender pens and water painters to color in the image without the black actually bleeding into the colors. So this is very important to use when you're trying to color in and blend colors in an image. So I'm just going to start by inking up my mermaid. Again, this is the watercolor paper. No dimensions because I'm just showing you the technique. So it's just a scrap piece of the watercolor paper. Okay, and I am stamping the image. I'm going to let that dry for a minute while I start to show you how I ink up the blender pen. Again, using Melon Mambo. I'm actually pushing on the ink inside its container. And when I do that, when I open it up, there is a little dab of ink that's on the top of the ink pad container. So I'm going to take my blender pen, and again, there's 2 sides. So I'm going to use the side with less control to actually do part of her bodice. So I'm picking up the ink with the blender pen. I don't want her bodice to be as dark as this color, so I'm going to just take some of the ink off by writing on my grid paper. And then I'm going to start coloring. And when you start coloring, where you started is going to be darker as you lose ink in the blender pen. So when I go over it again, I'm going to start on this side. So then this side becomes darker since I started here, this was darker, and as I came over the image, it got lighter. So then when I re-inked, I started here because this side was lighter to hopefully get an even an even color. Okay, so in order to do the top of her bodice, I actually want more control. So I'm going to switch sides of the blender pen, get the more controlled side, get some ink. And I want this to be darker than the rest of her bodice. So I'm only going to take a little bit of ink off. And then I'm going to color in the top, just like that. I'm going to go over it one more time. And there's her pretty bodice. Okay, now I'm going to do the water, show you what I did to create the water. So I'm using Balmy Blue, and I'm going to do the same technique. I'm going to push on the container, which is going to ink up a little spot on the top of the ink pad. Then I'm going to take, originally I had taken for my card, I took a smaller water painter. So I'm actually going to use the thick, flat water painter. And you want to, where's my, so I filled it up with water. Hold on, let me show you. You screw off the top, filled it up with water, put the top back on. And then I have a paper towel here, and I'm just kind of squeezing a little bit, getting some water to come to the surface. When you have a little bit of water, now I'm going to pick up some of the ink that's on the top of the lid, and I'm just going to start brushing it on. And pick up some more. Pick up some more of the ink. And then at times as I'm putting the color on, I am pushing on the water painter to kind of get some more water to come to the surface. If you enjoy adult coloring, try this. It's very, very relaxing. And then you can make a card and send it to somebody. Send out that happiness. Okay, so this was the card that I made with these techniques. And actually, I really like this a lot better than the card. I did a better job with the water painter in this example. But, you know, try things out. Okay, so now it's your turn. Go use these techniques, make a card, and then send out some happiness into the world. If you enjoyed this and thought these techniques were useful, please click the subscribe button. If you use blender pens and water painters and you have other ideas on ways to use them, leave me a comment and like this video. If you enjoyed this, please like this video. Okay, now go use these techniques, go send a card, send some happiness into the world, and I'll see you next time.